Hi everyone, it's me, David. I hope you're having a great day. And here is today's philosophical point. It's in the form of a question. What is your effective perspective? In a previous video, I put forth the claim that the best way for us of the 21st century to understand the Stoics is through the concept of perspective. And I'm going to give you one way in which I think this is true today. Each of us comes at the world from our own perspective. That's something we all understand. And when I talk about what your effective perspective is, I'm speaking about the virtues. When we talk about the virtues, it's important to understand that each virtue comes into operation, especially in a given situation. Let's call it the context of the virtue. So the context of courage is where there's a terrifying or dangerous situation, or at least a very difficult or taxing situation. That's when the virtue of courage comes into play. The virtue of temperance comes into play in a tempting situation. When I talk about your effective perspective, I mean, it's not enough for you to think you would do the courageous thing in a dangerous situation. The question is, what would your perspective really be in that situation? Would you really have the courage to do the right thing, to do the courageous thing, or would you fold? Would you do what's cowardly? And I think it's important to discuss this because, speaking of the perspectives of each of us, many of us are in a situation where we think we would do the courageous thing when in reality, when it comes down to it, our perspective would shift. So our effective perspective would be cowardly. Let's take some common examples. You're watching a movie on TV and you see the hero, Jason Statham. He's confronted at a gas station by a pretty tough ruffian. What should he do? And you think about it and you say, well, I know what I would do in that situation. I would say this, and then here's the Aikido Jiu-Jitsu moves I would use, and that guy would be on the ground in 5 seconds. But at the same time, when you go into work the next day, and then one of your colleagues says, did you take a few pens from my desk yesterday? And you actually did, and you don't fess up to it. You don't have the courage to tell the truth in this situation, but you think, well, if some tough guy who was sent out to rough me up confronted me in public, well, I could take care of that. So same for a tempting type situation. You watch a movie and you think, well, this is a happily married man and he's at a business conference. There's a late night meeting in his boss's suite. Well, change the example a little. Let's say it's in this man's room, his suite, and then there's a actually very seductive accountant that sticks around for a little longer, and you're thinking, I know what I would do in this situation. I would resist this temptation. But then the next day in your case, when you're working online and you get a little bored with it, a little tired of it, even though you've sworn off porno, what do? Let's check out that old tab. So you see the pattern here? This is what most people do. Now, when you want to think about making your effective perspective courageous or temperate, what I'm not recommending is that you put yourself in these really tempting situations or really dangerous situations. What you really should do is start with small. And Epictetus is great on this point. You don't want to run into a situation right away like a hero. You're going to have to undergo a winter's training. So Look at the things in your life and try to get better bit by bit in terms of temptation and in terms of what is difficult or taxing or challenging. And then who knows, maybe one day when you're at a gas station and some guy is sent after you to beat you up, maybe you will really be the courageous person in that case. That's today's philosophical point. Like, subscribe, and check out what I do below. Have a great day. It's up to you.